Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
Clark, will you listen to me? Let's just find a hotel. I'll call my parents. They'll wire us some money. We can fly home and forget this entire vacation ever happened.
That's Beverly D'Angelo as the put-upon Ellen Griswold in the 1980s classic National Lampoon's Vacation, in which the Griswold family runs out of cash on a disastrous road trip. I'm Jordan Heath Rawlings, and you are listening to In This Economy, where we help you understand the systems that create your money problems, from grocery bills to the cost of flights and everything in between. Then, we try to help you figure out a way to just do it anyway. Summer is right around the corner, and a lot of us are dreaming of a holiday. But post-pandemic, it feels like everything, the cost of hotels, the cost of flights, even just the cost of gas or food on a road trip has skyrocketed. So how can you avoid ending up like the Griswolds, but still have a fun and meaningful family vacation in this economy? Natalie Preddie is a writer and a TV personality. She not only specializes in travel, she is a seasoned traveler herself, whether that's solo or with a family, and she is full of tips. Whether your summer travel dreams involve planes or trains or automobiles. Before we get into the serious stuff, Natalie, where's the last vacation you went on?
Well, you know what? I just got back from a press trip where I did St. Thomas Carnival, which I don't know if you've done Carnival, but it is absolutely amazing. Each Caribbean island has their own version of Carnival. And of course, we have North America's biggest one in Toronto in August. But yeah, it was so much fun. It was hot. It was beautiful. We had lots of costumes on, some amazing artists, soca artists, reggae artists. It was
great.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it was great.
And you didn't have to pay for that trip because this is work to you.
That was work. Yes, that was work.
As we come out of the pandemic, what kind of changes have we seen to travel, particularly to the cost of it?
Okay, so as we know, it has gone up, right? So we have inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we look at the cost of a ticket itself, there have been more taxes added on, especially in Canada. So tourism taxes, airport fees. We have some of the highest airport fees in the world when it comes to people flying in, especially to Pearson, service charges, international service charges, and then just supply and demand. You know, we don't have the staff, we don't have the pilots, we don't have people working in the airport security. You know, we lost so many workers in the pandemic, and we just haven't gotten them back yet. And of course, with Boeing, you know, the issues that they're having, then people are, you know, not wanting to fly Boeing. So airlines have to raise their prices to make up for the people not going on the plane. So there's just so many different things, fuel as well. And I actually read this fact, which I thought was really cool. The International Civil Aviation Organization estimates that by 2026, the aviation industry is going to require 480,000 new techs and 350,000 new pilots. Which
is that because of demand?
That's because of demand. Yeah, because we lost so many people as well, right? A lot of people took retirement at that time that maybe had 10 more years left. So it's getting back up to where we were, and then, of course, surpassing that.
So we shouldn't be expecting prices to come down anytime soon, I guess.
Absolutely not, unfortunately.
Can you give us a sense, and I know obviously this varies depending on where you're traveling and where you're flying in and out of, but when you add up all the cost increases from fuel to taxes or whatever, how would you compare the cost of traveling now to pre-pandemic? Like, are people who haven't taken a vacation since that time, are they looking at a, 10% more, 20%, 30%? Ballpark it for us.
About, I think in Canada, they're saying about 7.8%.
Okay.
It's continued to go up. So it's not ridiculous. We did, right after the pandemic, there were a lot of people traveling, right? Everyone
Right.
was doing that revenge travel trend where they were just saying, I was stuck inside, I'm going wherever, whenever. So we saw that there were, a lot more people traveling. That's slowing down now. So in terms of pricing, things are all starting to even out a little bit, and it's not too bad. It's still expensive, and it of course depends on the time of year, depends where you're going. Certain destinations have increased their taxes just to decrease the amount of people coming. Italy, Venice, has their tourist tax, but within Canada, they're saying about 7.8%. But then traveling within Canada has always been expensive.
We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different ways to travel or even just to take a vacation in the course of this conversation. But since we started with air travel, how do you get around some of those air travel specific taxes and expenses? What do you do when you take your own vacations?
So you have to be flexible with your dates wherever possible. Traveling like a Tuesday to a Tuesday as opposed to a Saturday to a Saturday, you can see a big change in prices. Also, if you book in incognito mode or private browsing, that is very helpful because
Hmm.
airlines have cookies, and you go look for that price that you saw yesterday on a certain site, and it's now gone up 10%. So, I highly recommend using private mode or incognito mode. Booking ahead is a huge one. So 60 days out for international is what they recommend, and 28 domestically. But also when it comes to those taxes, we specifically mentioned, Toronto having high airport taxes, looking at smaller airports. So
Hmm.
I just discovered the other day talking to someone that Jersey City has its own airport. Atlantic City has its own small airport now. At these airports, the taxes are going to be less just because they don't have that traffic. So, just looking at smaller places like that and using an alert service. So I know Google Flights is a famous one. Kayak is my personal favorite. You can put the alerts and it will say whether to buy or whether to hold out or to just wait,
Hmm.
which I like. And I know Skyscanner just added a button that does this as well. So you can save all your past searches and it will send you alerts as well. So I highly recommend putting one of those on, researching from different computers, ask a friend or a family member to check with the prices from their computer, lots of things like that. And fortunately, it's a little bit trickier, but it can be done.
Right. And what do you do? Being flexible on dates is obviously a great one.
Yes.
We're releasing this episode right before summer vacation when a lot of people who have school-age children can't be flexible on
Yeah.
dates. How do you beat the kind of A, price chaos, but B, even just general travel chaos of trying to travel in those periods with kids? And maybe in the summer, it's not crazy bad because you have 8 weeks or 9 weeks to play with, but come the Christmas holidays, the March break that kids get, like those are the options, right?
Right. And those are unfortunately going to be expensive. You're flying
Yeah.
over the weeks around Christmas and some hotels, especially down south, will go up 100%. Those flights
Hmm.
and accommodation, those package deals they're gonna double.
Oh, they know they've gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. They say you have these dates. So being flexible. And then even then, I traveled this February I wanted to go somewhere with my children around March break. And even the week after March break was really expensive because you have to think about, other countries, when are their breaks? Private schools, I think, had 2 weeks off. So if you can avoid those, or even just switch your dates, like I said, the Tuesday to Tuesday as opposed to Saturday to Saturday,
Hmm.
that will definitely give you some more bonus. But also, I always say to check the hotel's website or the resort's website. If you book through the resort's website, you can often get better deals than package holidays because they will have deals that you can only get online. So let's say you're 4 days and your fifth night is free, or children stay for free, or we're offering 30% off. So I always say if there's a particular resort you want to go to, have a look on their website before you look through the package deals.
If you're not doing one of those getaway resort vacations and you don't have the kind of money where you're going to be able to, fly to Italy or somewhere in Europe, what do you recommend people do to get that sense of immersing yourself in another culture without breaking the bank?
Well, train travel is huge at the moment for so many reasons because it is more affordable and it is better for the environment. And train travel itself is becoming more glamorized again, or once again, I should say. So you're seeing a lot of chefs offering dining experiences on the Rocky Mountaineer, for instance, or even like Amtrak train stations have their own dining experiences. They're becoming hotbeds for immersion in their cities as well. So train travel is a fantastic idea. And then you, of course, can get to somewhere else. So let's say you're coming from Toronto up to Ottawa or Toronto to Quebec City with Via or something. There are fantastic deals, some great options, and you're still getting to go on a vacation and have a new, exciting experience.
Where are the biggest ripoffs for traveling?
Eating in the airport. It's the
Fair.
airport is the Wild West. You're paying $12 for a personal sized bag of chips, which is just complete madness. So I would say eating and drinking at the airport, if you can avoid it, then absolutely do that.
What about outside the airport, though?
Outside of the airport, anywhere that is super touristy. So let's say you are able to, let's say you're in Italy, for instance, and you want to avoid the main areas along the river in Florence, for instance. Around there, there's going to be a lot of tourist traps. The food probably won't be that great. You're better off wandering a little bit to find something to eat, or if possible, and I know a lot of people do this, and I love to do this as well, go with a vacation rental. So you are making a few meals at home, even just, a small room that has a toaster and a kettle,
Right.
and then you can make your own toast in the morning. So that saves you meal on your breakfast. Have your cup of tea, have your coffee in the morning. Those are fantastic. So you could still stay in the hotel and just have those little amenities on the side.
As I was prepping for this interview, I sort of asked a whole bunch of people, like, what do they think about traveling on a budget? How would they do it? And one thing that came up a couple of times, including through our producers, is swapping homes. Have you ever tried that? Are you familiar with the concept? So it's like not quite an Airbnb, but I guess there are apparently ways you can arrange just like a straight up home swap. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so it's actually funny because I'm doing another interview specifically on home swapping later this week. So your timing is perfect. Yeah, so there's companies that do that called like Home Exchange. Depending on your budget, you pay a membership fee for the year, and there are a few options. So you can either do a straight up swap, like I don't know if you remember the movie The Holiday. It's a Christmas movie with Kate Winslet and Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, Jack Black. Anyway, two women, I believe, do a home swap and then they have their home romantic stories surrounding those. But you can do a straight up home swap or you can look at what's available. So let's say I joined it and I'm going to be away from my home for June. Someone could look at it and say, oh, Natalie's away for the month of June. I'd like to stay in that house, so, which then it becomes more vacation rental. It's very interesting. It's exciting because a lot more people are looking for, like you said, ways to try out new destinations and really immerse themselves. And you're gonna if you're staying in someone's home, you're really getting to understand what it's like day to day there.
In terms of not flying to exotic places or spending a lot of money even on transportation,
Mm.
what about road trips in Canada? And what do you recommend people do if they're planning on trying that for a vacation?
Road trips are fantastic. I think they're a great way to involve the whole family. So I say, even get out one of those old paper maps. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They still make
And
those?
oh, they still make them, yes. And it really involves your kids in the planning. That's going to get them excited about where they're going, as opposed to the "Are we there yet? Are we
Right.
there yet?" So, what sort of things am I going to see along the way? Maybe we're going to stop in these smaller towns. So let's look at changing our route so that we are exploring something that the kids want to see. Maybe there's, I don't know, a llama farm somewhere, or they want to go through this town and try this restaurant. So you really make the trip part of the whole journey, and making the kids part of it gives them some ownership in the trip itself. But prepare yourself as well. You will be stuck in the car for a long time.
Hmm.
So they have podcasts that are quizzes, for instance, that'll be like a family fun quiz.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's great. It's a way to get everyone involved. We have kids podcasts that tell stories. We have favorites as well, and we all, listen to stories as we go. We'll make a playlist together. So you want to look at what the kids want to listen to as well. Throw in what you want to listen to. Then you don't have to deal with, as parents. I know we can often feel like DJs, or at least I do, taking requests all day. We've created a playlist all together, and that's what we're going to listen to on our trip. So I definitely think that they're a fantastic way to get the whole family together and to really connect everyone. And then everyone feels really good about the journey from beginning to end.
What are some of the things you should be aware of when it comes to hidden or surprise costs along the way?
With road trips,
Yeah.
um, well, in terms of, even as something as simple as buying gas, the on routes along the side of the highway where you just pull off, the gas is going to be more expensive there. You might have to detour, a little bit, 10 minutes, even 10 minutes off the highway, and you'll find a better price for gas. Again, food, definitely don't buy food at the en routes. It's astronomical. Again, airport pricing, I call it. And looking at planning your meals out as well, planning where you're going to eat.
Right.
Maybe you stay in a vacation rental, or you stay in a hotel that has some amenities, so you can make your own breakfast in the morning, or you book a hotel that maybe has breakfast included, and there you've already saved yourself a meal. Snacks, I am the most like
The most prepared
I
snacker.
prepared snacker. I like to have everything, and I keep them hidden around the car so we don't eat everything in about 15 minutes, which would totally happen. So making sure you are prepared, and of course safety, right? You have something goes wrong with the car. Make sure that you are prepared with your insurance. You know who to call. If it's completely unexpected, you could end up in a pickle. Tow trucks can be a lot of money. So you just really want to have a plan B all the time.
One other thing that came up that I have to ask you about. Tell me the best way to use your travel points. You must have some hacks and tips, or certain points that are worth it and certain points that are not. How do you navigate travel points?
So I have a card that I have been using for a very long time, and I really like it. So, so I use the TD Infinite Travel. There are so many to go with. I mean, overall, based on all the research that I've done, the American Express Cobalt has some of the highest earnings, and you can get like 5 points on your dining, on your groceries, flexible ways to spend your points as well. In terms of airline cards, the best one is the TD Aeroplan Visa. The only thing with Aeroplan is it can be a little bit tricky to figure out how to maximize your spending with them,
Hmm.
how to maximize the use of those points. But it's a great card when it comes to rewards. And what I really like about this card, they have $100 Nexus fee rebate every 2 years. So I have a Nexus. It's a fantastic card. I love it. It makes traveling to and from the States so much easier. And, you get the rebate on that as well. And if you're looking for a no fee travel card, the American Express Green Card is a great one. It really depends on where you're traveling the most often. I know my
Hmm.
sister has the Marriott Bonvoy American Express, and She loves it because she travels a lot for work and she always stays in a Marriott. And that's where she would see the majority of her budget go is the hotels. So she can really maximize on, discounted stays, upgrades, because she's there, many times throughout the month, she's able to really maximize the Bonvoy points. The Aeroplan, I also really like Aeroplan. They have great things. They have their own deals with certain stores. So I know Uber, Starbucks, you can get points with, but also even small things like free Wi-Fi is, at 1,000 points, I think, or something like that. So even if you have a small increment, there's still ways that you can use them as you travel. And of course, in Canada, we have so few airlines
Yeah.
that that airplane, I end up flying Air Canada or one of the Star Alliance, which is like United, British Airways, those airlines anyway, and I can use them on those airlines as well. It really depends how you spend your travel dollars. Are you flying? I mean, the one I have, the TD Travel Infinite, I really like because I can use it on Expedia for TD. So I can save money on renting a car and it's a point to a dollar. So it's fantastic. And I get at least one flight and hotel a year on it. So yeah, it's just using it for, whatever you think you're going to use it for most. And also using that card for your everyday purchases.
Right.
That's one thing I say as well. If you have a travel card, use it for your groceries, use it for your gas, use it for whatever you can, pay it off at the end of the month, so it's not like you are gathering loads of debt, but then you are really turning all of your everyday purchases into points that you can use.
Last question, and it's a bit of a detailed one because I want to understand your process. So far, I've been asking you for a whole lot of tips in various ways. The last thing I'd love for you to do is for somebody traveling on a budget, or let's say you yourself have a budget, walk me through your process of planning your vacation to get the most for your money.
Okay. Well, I will look at, first of all, I think about where I want to go. Do I have the kids with me or not? So let's say it's my family of 5. I would go to kayak. I would look at the flights. I'd set an alert. I would also look at how many points I have on my Expedia for TD and where that can get me, how much that can get me. I will play around with dates. Looking at a lot of sites will now show me the most expensive days and the cheapest days. Now, all of this I have done in incognito mode because I don't
Right.
want it to be tracked. And that's my biggest pet peeve is when I've forgotten to do that and what I have put in is now 10 times the price. So definitely in incognito mode. And then I will probably check it over the next week, have a look at the deal on a bunch of different websites. I will usually call the hotel as well and say, this is what I'm looking at. Are there any deals coming up? And usually when you call the hotel, they will throw in an upgrade, or will tell you, we've got this sale coming up in a few days. Depending on the time of year, if I know a Black Friday is coming up or there's going to be a sale, I'll hold off for that. And then I will usually press the buy button on a Tuesday because we know that
Huh.
flights tend to be a little bit cheaper for buying on a Tuesday. Now, I don't know the science behind this, but this I've heard it from a few people and a few travel agents as well say, let's wait till Tuesday to book it. Um, so I press the buy button, but I'll usually take about a week to just suss things out, write down some options, play around, make some phone calls, and even ask some travel agent friends. It doesn't hurt to pick up the phone, which I know we all hate doing,
Yeah.
but to pick up the phone and say, or even shoot someone an email and say, hey, I was looking at this. What type of prices are you seeing on that? And again, even if you are incognito mode, it doesn't hurt to check it out from someone else's computer, just to make sure that you are not, getting a completely different number. And then I book it. If I've decided it's somewhere that I want to go, I don't usually sit on it for too long. As I said, 60 days out is what they recommend to get the best prices for international. And it used to be, and I remember traveling as a kid. I remember my parents saying, if you book it, really close to the travel date, the prices go down. What's completely flipped now. So once I've made a decision, I do a little bit of searching, and then I press buy, because I also think that if I've decided we're going somewhere, we're going.
Yeah.
And I want that experience as well, and I need that break, or I need that time away. And that's usually my priority. And then of course get the kids' bags ready, make sure that they've got enough food, enough snacks. That's not going to cost me a bomb at the airport when I have to go, buy them something because they're hungry. Yeah, just all the little things that I can think about. But I think you also, and one thing that I will balance is the convenience of travel and the budget. I think you can't forget convenience as well, because going through the airport can be stressful, right? Traveling with kids can be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of stuff. So, what things can you do that are going to mitigate the inconvenience of traveling with kids? So, if it's going to cost me an extra $10 to have diapers shipped to where I'm going, as opposed to putting a week's worth of diapers in a suitcase that I'll probably have to check anyway, I would do that. If it comes to renting some baby gear, if we're staying at a rental property or something and renting it while I'm down there, which is maybe going to cost me an extra $50 for the week, I would rather do that, just to avoid the inconvenience of carrying all the baby gear through the airport. And the baby, I assume.
And the baby. Don't forget the baby.
Don't forget the baby. Yeah.
That's the best travel advice we've got.
Don't forget the baby.
Natalie, thank you so much for this. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully people have listened to this and can save a few bucks and still get out there this summer.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Natalie Preddie is a writer and a broadcaster. She specializes in travel, and thanks so much to her for sharing that intel with us. I will definitely be booking my flights in incognito mode from now on. Do you have a money problem, or even a question about some weird aspect of the economy and how it really works these days? We want to hear from you. You can email us at hello@itepod.ca, or you can call us and just talk about it. You can leave a voicemail by calling 416-935-5935. We don't need your real name, but we do need your real numbers, those of your financial problem, and of course, your digits, so we can call you back and talk about it. If you like this show, if you want more of this show, if you want us to keep making this show, please share and tell your friends to listen. You can also like and rate and review and follow, or whatever your favorite podcast app allows you to do. I'm your host and executive producer, Jordan Heath Rawlings. This episode was written and produced by Marsha Whitsid, Allison Broverman, and Stephanie Phillips. The sound design was done by Robin Edgar. Mary Jubrin is our digital editor. Diana Kay is our manager of business development. Together, that makes us the Frequency Podcast Network, a division of Rogers. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon on In This Economy.